Misha here, and this is part 5, the final part. We've already covered all the in-universe histories. Now I thought I'd do one more episode talking out of universe, the real world. Some behind-the-scene facts about some of these, and also give my impressions on the designs and what I think about the interpretations of the micro-galaxy squadron. And while I don't have here to show you, I still actually do have my original action fleet somewhere in a box in the attic, but I do remember what I thought of him back then, so maybe do a little just offhand comparison. Basically, this is a much more casual episode, just hanging out, talking ties. How about that? Actually, I want to start with one of the Hot Wheels vessels here. Not the best series in the world. They are die-cast, but they did some neat ones that no one else has. So, not as cool as the old titanium, or even the newer Black Series titanium, but they're not expensive. This is the concept TIE Fighter. And I think it's neat. It shows where the art department was. It is very Russian space program with the pressure sphere and everything, solar arrays. Seems like for whatever reason Russian craft always had more predominantly visible solar panels than American. And one thing I think is kind of neat I wanted to point out, the entrance was actually in the rear. Like it would dock and you'd get in the rear, and I guess either climb over the seat or maybe the seat would rotate. Newer versions, the hatch to get in would be on top. That's what we're really familiar with, but I think it would have been kind of cool to have the rear entrance. It makes sense, and you can see it on the standard model. But this is neat. I think the titanium was probably the best. I remember getting the micro machines. What was kind of weird about when the Star Wars stuff first came back out, be it the reissued Kenner, the micro machines, it just kind of came out of nowhere, because this is years before the re-release. This is years before the prequels came out. So just you go into the store and you just see Star Wars again. And that was kind of wild. I have a lot of history with this series. And a lot of friendships, which is one reason I kind of like the original Action Fleet. Just good memory, good vibes, as the kids would say. I held off getting the Micro Galaxy Squadron for quite a long while. Talking about the rear here. This now, I don't know if I showed it in the regular videos, but it's an engine bay. Just to give a little extra feature. Little engine detail there. And as with any TIE Fighter, the wings come off as if disassembly is a feature. But they used to pop off from the old Kenner toys when I was a kid. I was the right age for these when Return of the Jedi came out. I was a little young for Empire Strikes Back, as in a baby. And I wasn't alive for A New Hope. So, the Star Wars toys were among my first toys I ever bought for myself as a very young child. I had an allowance of $5 a week when I did chores. Hey, $5 a week was a great allowance back in the early 80s, so I had to vacuum and dust to get it. And I could get Star Wars figures with that. And the line really expanded when Kenner did kind of the original Power of the Force in 1985 at the very end, but they were dying. I remember when they were hard to find in the store, but when you did find them, they were cheap. Anyway, but they didn't do a lot of vehicles, especially large scale, like the small die cast back then. They had one line, but it was pretty small. And the toys, like the X-Wings and stuff, they were really cool, but I couldn't afford that many, and I don't think I had an X-Wing. I think the only Rebel fighter I had as a kid was the A-Wing. And I had the TIE fighter. I might have had one of the Luke X-Wing variants. I never did get a snow speeder, though. Remember that. I always wanted one. And of course, I never got an AT-AT. Those were big, big time. Although, ironically, somehow I ended up, I think it was a Christmas gift, with the shuttle, which I think was the biggest one. Anyway, memory lane aside, getting the action fleet was pretty neat. By that point, when they came out, I was a teenager, so not really into toys, but the thing that was kind of cool about the action fleet was they did cross that line from toy to model. I don't know. They were definitely toys, but the Micro Machine stuff's always kind of straddled that line and of all ages. And they were loosely the kind of 1-inch scale, but the figures were actually more like 1 1/4. But then the vessels could be kind of, it was more of a suggestion of a scale with them, which was, yeah, like for example, their snow speeder was really big for what it was. Snow speeder is a pretty small thing. Their TIE fighter was pretty good. Funnily enough, the original just TIE LN here took a long time to come out in the in the action fleet, the Gloob version. So thankfully it came out with the Micro Galaxy here. This is a Series 1. This is the damaged ones from Series 2, and they've done the Armada editions. You can tell, I mean, even the first ones were pretty nice, but they've learned a lot. Now, some people kind of didn't like them because they're lightweight plastic. That's not a bad thing. This is good plastic. Like, weight isn't the only way to determine the quality of a plastic. The kind of plastics we had in the 80s and 90s, it was chunkier, heavier, but it had no flex to it like this does, and it broke more. It would get weird. And I think that's one area. Of course, we won't know how these hold up for years to come in other plastics, but it actually feels better. And I think because of it being a thinner plastic, they're able to get more detail. So even though these do feel lighter than the action fleet, I don't hate it. And they're not too much on the gimmicks, too much on the things. Well, maybe. We'll get there. But despite myself, I was kind of impressed. Of course, the original TIE Fighter was in A New Hope. And the TIE Bomber here came out for Empire Strikes Back. And we did see the TIE Shuttle version. And I believe the storyboards did call for the TIE boarding craft, but it was not seen in A New Hope. So this concept was kind of around from the beginning, and always one of my favorites. I remember when Empire Strikes Back came out, and this was around, and I thought, this is cool. You saw them, bombing the asteroids looking for the Falcon. And there was, of course, one of these in the action fleet as well. But it had a firing missile. That was kind of the name of the game in the 90s. Everything had to have spring-loaded firing missiles. Boy, I hope they never do that in action in the Micro Galaxy. That would be horrible, wouldn't it? And I do like how you can see the ordnance in here. And one interesting thing they did was make it a two-seater. Very much in the style of the snow speeder. Maybe it's because the snow speeder has been one of my favorite craft, but, it never showed the inside of this not having two. It's one of those where they never said it didn't have two. The bomber was never shown on the inside. And it makes sense that a bomber would have a bombardier. It's a change that the Jazzwares made. And normally I don't like changes, but they kind of filled in the gaps, and they give it a little more interest. I mean, you have all this room. Why not do something with it? So I don't mind. And of course, if you don't like to see it, just close it up and there you go. Now, if memory serves, this pod hanging down was further forward on some of the other models. And I don't know which is correct. This to me seems like it's further back, but then he gets acting as the bomb chute. You guys can let me know. I thought it was a sensor module hanging down, but, you know, being a bomb thing. So that might be another area they took creative liberties. This one, by the way, is the, quote, Armada Edition, the re-release. I do actually have the original one, and no, I didn't pay crazy money for it. I just happened to find it when they came out for $14. So when the Armada came out, I just picked another one up when they were $14. And I really like it. It's got that wide squat appearance. This one does have some decent weight to it. It's not die-cast. It'd be really neat if these were die-cast, but then again, they wouldn't be the price there. I'm sure this in die-cast would be $40 at least. So, you know, take it for what you will. But the bomber I've always really liked, and it was the third tie we saw on screen back in the day, and made up the 4 originals, and it's really cool that now we have them all. The TIE Interceptor was the new TIE for Return of the Jedi, and probably just because of the age. I know it's not the best of the original trilogy. I know that's Empire Strikes Back. I know that as far as real-world history, the original A New Hope, is what's soon known, is... But Return of the Jedi is my favorite, for personal reasons. That's just how it is. I enjoy the Jabba the Hutt thing. As far as I feel about the Ewoks, I'll put it like this. My cat that lived 21 years, her name was Ewok. I have nothing against Ewoks. They're fun. But yeah, this was the new TIE, and of the 4 originals, this was always my favorite. I love the look of the Interceptor. The kind of dagger wings, the extra speed and power. I like the silhouette that it presents, all curvy. It's just, that to me is just sexy. Now, the original Action Fleet one had this weird feature where the wings moved in and out. You kind of cranked a thing and they would extend and can, you know, on the horse. That's not, I don't know why they did that. That's what I mean about unnecessary gimmicks. If there's something a craft does do, it's really cool. Like on the X-Wing, but they're opening the S-foils. It's really great. I like when they do that. But if it doesn't include it in the design, I don't know. Engine compartment opens up on this one too. One thing I will say, it seems a little odd, and this might be true to form. It seems like the bubble, the pressure shell, is larger than on the standard TIE here. I mean, it is. But that might be true to form, but I feel like they should all be the same ball size. You guys can let me know if I'm right or wrong. It does seem like for some reason Jazzwares made this bigger on the Interceptor, and only the Interceptor, but that might just be how it is, or maybe they were trying to adjust size, scale a little bit. I don't know. Everything else about it seems in spec and scale. It's just the ball seems a little weird. And I'm glad these do come with the stand. We see more stands with them now, but they're pretty inconsistent, and I wish they would stop that and just give stands. That's especially for the TIEs. They don't have landing gear as such. But no, I like how they did Interceptor. By the way, this is the one from the Escape the Death Star pack, the one that came with the Millennium Falcon and 2 of these. I've read that the paint scheme's a little different than the standard Interceptor. I don't actually have that one. I picked up the pack on sale at my local Target a couple years back. They had a holiday clearance, so it was a heck of a deal. And it was probably the first big mega pack I bought, and I was pretty thrilled with it. And I'm not going to complain about getting 2 of my favorite, or the original series craft here. And these all have little buttons on the bottom to eject the pilot. What that's really there for is just to make it easier to get him out, because otherwise, A, it's a little hard to open up the canopy on some, and B, you got to get your little fingers down in there. I have relatively small hands, so it's not so hard for me, but yeah, even I usually push it up and then ease it down. It's a feature, but it's also just something to make life easier for all of us. And then there's the fourth one, and which is actually my very first action fleet. Lord Vader's TIE Advanced. Also in A New Hope. You know, when the first film came out, we had the X-Wing and the Y-Wing, and the TIE Fighter, and then we had this one, TIE Advanced. We had 2 ships for each faction in the beginning, and then Empire Strikes Back added a couple to each. The Rebels got the Snow Speeder. As we discussed, the Empire got the TIE Bomber. And again, Return of the Jedi, they got the Interceptor, and the Rebels got the B-Wing and the A-Wing. By the way, as much as I love the Y-Wing, B-Wing's actually my favorite of the original Rebel spacecraft. But yeah, this is this one. I really like the silhouette. Though the back part, it's a little McClunky. I don't know. I feel like if this was more skeletonized here... Oops, sorry. I mean, while I'm apologizing to you, had an itch. I feel like it's a little clunky. But again, these are made with real models, not CGI. But I do like that it is a smaller craft in most dimensions, 2 out of 3, compared to the regular TIE. The regular TIE has a little bit of a bulky to it. This one looks sleek, and I really like how when they did Revenge of the Sith, they did the ETA-2, and there's a big callback from there, like Vader, when he designed this, did it. No, they did a good job with this. I can't complain. Again, the ball on this is normal. I like the engine compartment. You know, you get Vader. The only thing I will say, with the action fleet, he could wear his cape. And what they did is there is a small cutout in the seat for the cape to kind of dip into. Now he's got his kind of bottom robes here, but he does come with the cape, but you have to remove it to put him in the seat. Kind of wish they had done the same for this Vader, so you could have him with his cape on. Again, it's all something you're going to have to do, and technically these are just a little bit smaller scale than the action fleet. Like I said, those are about 1 1/4, and these are pretty close to true 1/72 scale, which is one of the big reasons I see what I mean by getting them in there. You gotta work with it. One reason that I was finally getting into is because I collect real world, adult models in that scale, so that was my good excuse to go with these. Once you get him in there, he sits pretty good. And the cockpit is kind of necessarily tight. That's how the TIE really was, especially for Vader, who was nearly 7 feet tall in his get up. So those are the 4 originals, and I'm not disappointed. Not at all. I think they did a good job. Like I said, this was my first action fleet, and I've told the story many times already, but yeah, my mother kind of accidentally bought it for me. I forget what I was asking her to look for. She'd gone to the store and came back with it, and it's like, well, this wasn't what I wanted, but it's like, thanks, and cool. I opened it. I was like, this is really neat. And so that kind of got me started collecting those. Ironically, she also got me started on the Micro Galaxy series a few Christmases ago. She had picked up the Razor Crest. She liked Baby Yoda. Anyway, so just as like a stocking stuffer for Christmas. We don't really buy big gifts anymore. Just little thinking of you gifts at the store. And that kind of got me started on this. Just, I don't know. Thought it was kind of neat. Again, I'd already looked at them online before, but said, nah, I don't need to get into collecting others. So twice there, she's got me to spend money on these things. Well, talking about Mandalorian, I think when these came out, it was still season 1. Maybe it was season 2 at most. But we have the TIE Outland here. This was a rare or chase or whatever. And came with Gideon, but I put just a regular TIE pilot in it. Good one for him because the only difference is the wings. And I do like how they fold. And I'm not knocking Jazzwares for this because they just make them, however the thing is. But I almost think it would be better if the wings folded the other direction, like inward. Kind of like you see on the Inquisitorius TIE Advance. But then again, I have to admit, it gives it kind of a really weird, elongated profile, and it does look like it would be more aerodynamic. So this is cool they did this one. And it came with the stand, but the landing gear are on the stand, which is a little odd. I think if they had done this today, as they've learned, they would have either integrated the landing gear into the craft or maybe given you like plug-in landing gear. Of course, the downside there is when they're not plugged in, you got holes and you have to worry about losing them. So I get it. There's not really an area for them to fold in. I get it. And being a chase, being a rare, whatever it is, I always mix whatever's up. You know, they're not going to do a whole lot of new molding. And these days, typically, their chases, their rares, are just different paint jobs with maybe a different figure. So this one not only came with its own figure, but you've got different wings, different base. So I think it's neat. I think the TIE Outland was one of the first new ones that I was really interested in because, obviously, it was not in the original action fleet. And I wanted to get one because I think they're cool. But they didn't make a ton of them. And otherwise, it is just a TIE LN. So I would not have paid crazy money for it. I pretty much just paid regular price. Well, the Outland is really just an adaptation of the original TIE, even if it's from newer media. But this one here, the TIE Striker, the TIE SKX-1, is new. This is from, of course, Rouge 1, 2016, back when Star Wars was still pretty popular and kind of at the top of its game. So I think a lot of people were excited when the Micro Galaxy series was finally going to do one of these. And I'm going to be honest, I was a little disappointed in this one. And I'm not sure that's fair. I'm not sure I should have been. Because, let me explain. Here's one from the old Black series, Titanium, or Titanium Black series. The Hot Wheels also did one. This one's nice because the wings are metal. But notice there's no cannon on the tips. And down here is pretty vague. You got the sausage. Now, I really like the TIE Bomber. So this is like half of a TIE Bomber with long, flat wings. If you look at Rogue One's ships, the U-Wing, the shuttles, that is kind of the art direction that they did. They really kind of did a flat thing. And so, when I got this, it didn't feel quite right to me. I think the canopy felt short and stubby, or maybe too wide. But then comparing to this, I don't think so. I think it's perception. I mean, this is pretty stubby too. Maybe a little. But this one's, I think, about the same. Now, one area, the wings or S-foils or solar collectors are definitely at the top here, making a flat kind of pancake. On this one, while they're kind of towards the top, there's definitely more hull sticking out over here. And they don't move near as far. In fact, they don't have a whole lot of range of movement on this. But again, they're metal. Even the wings are. Which way is more correct? I gotta admit, I actually like the more top-mounted way on this one here, for whatever that's worth. I think it's more aesthetically pleasing, and it also lets you move a greater degree. I mean, these fold all the way up, which, while we never saw them that high in the show, it would make sense that in a hangar, where in space you could just move them up like that. So I've got no problem with that at all. I think that is practical. It's okay when Jazzwares interprets stuff to be more real world, as long as it's not silly. And so they don't move down all the way. It's just, I actually like that look too. It's very reminiscent of like a gunship. Now some folks didn't like how the wings had to be kind of snapped together. It's hard to make this much plastic straight, and some complained too, I noticed online, that about this being too thick. The thing is, they're already hard enough to get where they're not bent, warped. I think if they went thinner, they would all be warped. I'm okay with this, what I'm saying. Sometimes you just have to look at the medium you're working in and do your best for it. So if you need to make them thick to be durable and look better, I'd rather have slightly too thick and not warped versus the other way around. Now we do have 2 canopies, and back one here. I think that's neat. So that's neat. It would have been cool if it came with 2 pilots though. So it also came with the stand. It's one of those things, when I first got it, I was a little disappointed. But as time's gone on, I've kind of started to like it more. I don't know. Sometimes second thought can be like that for you. And since I didn't grow up with the Striker, I didn't know a whole lot about it. I just had this one from earlier that I picked up eons ago, which is cool and all, but and the wings don't have a whole lot of movement to them. But let me know which style you think is more appropriate and you like better. Now, the Striker's big brother. And I'm going to be honest, before this got released, I didn't know this even existed. In fact, I don't know that it had a name for quite a while. I think it was just a very vague background ship. And the name TIE Reaper was applied later. And I don't believe the Titanium, the Black Series ever did it. And I don't even know if the Hot Wheels did. I don't think so, but I could be incorrect. Some people complain about the folding wings on this one, saying that in the film it didn't fold. We never saw them fold. That's not to say they didn't. That's one of the features I'm okay with, really only because the Striker has folding foils, so why not give this folding foils too? I think it just gives you a little more something, a little more interest. And again, if you don't like them, just put them in the normal position and don't worry about it. They also gave you 3 Death Troopers with it, because in the film we see it deploying Krennic and the Death Troopers. I wish I had a little Krennic, but I don't, so that's why I put the Moff Gideon in there that I had, just to show that it transported officers. I really like how they do the loading ramp, and they've done this style on a few other vessels where it pulls down and then these legs lock out to keep it on, so you can use it as landing. And then just to fold it up, you just squeeze them in, push up. The landing gear is a little blocky, I'm not gonna lie, but that's kind of the Micro Galaxy. When they have a choice between making it look better with gear up or down, they almost always choose up, and that is the right choice. One other thing though, as I was saying, the missile thing. This is the first, and as far as I know, only one to have firing missiles. Here's your buttons for it here. Someone came loose. I really hope that's not the new norm. And I think everyone else does. Luckily these, if you don't put the firing missiles in, aren't really visible, so that's cool. Just ignore them. I think it's a little odd though, since this one wasn't really a gunned up ship, to make this one your test project for firing missiles. I guess they just felt like it needed more going on, because it doesn't have a lot of features outside of just all the internals, but so what? I think a lot of online reviews praise this one. They really like it. I'm not that far on it. I think it's fine. I think it fits into the series pretty okay because of the scimitar being there already. Otherwise, it would be kind of out of place. It definitely has that Rogue One aesthetic, though. I wonder who lost his seat in there. Probably Gideon. Little engine compartment back here. I really do think, and this isn't faulting Jazzwares, but you'd really think a tail gun would be good right here, just because you got the compartment. But actually, yeah, just a turret up there in general. This being a turret would be kind of cool in the design. The Rogue One stuff I like okay. The U-Wing's pretty neat. At least it has its own identity, which is one thing I like about it. And the thing I don't like about the sequel trilogy is a lot of the stuff in it doesn't have its own look. And George Lucas was always good about giving his stuff identifiable differences, frankly. But yeah, this kind of completes the 3 ground vehicle look here. Why did I decide to do this series of videos now? This one here, the TIE Defender. I remember the 94 TIE Fighter game very, very well. You might wonder how or why I played it. I made missions for my friends, and they flew them. And in the regular video, I showed you my Titanium series version. Warped gun wings and all, which is just how these came in. I never did get the Action Fleet version. I was aware of it, but this is, pre-internet, and it never appeared at any local store. And to be fair, I wasn't looking very hard at that point. I was in college, and if I'd run across it, I still would have picked it up. But by the time you got to the end of the Action Fleet there, it was hard to find a lot of this stuff. And I like the original TIE Defender look, but I think the updated one that's actually canon overall is a better look. I like the shorter, more reinforced pylons. The elite version here with the longer wings, you could argue maybe you like the one with slightly shorter wings, the standard, but this one's fine. It's one of those designs that is almost ridiculous, but for reasons it just isn't. And I was super excited, and I think a lot of folks were when Jazzwares announced they were doing it. And I feel like kind of reading some online reviews, some folks are a little underwhelmed by this, or just not. That's not me. I'm very happy with it. I haven't even had any trouble with this stand. There's kind of a trick to putting it on. If you come from the back where it's skinnier and pop the ball in there and then rotate forward and just keep your finger, up here, not trying to bend it at the bottom, it's fine. The nice thing is it fits nice and tight, so you're not going to fall off. And you can definitely position. Just be careful with it. But yeah, if you come in and pop the ball in, it's easy. And one thing we always kind of wondered, even back in the video game era, was how you got in, because obviously this wing's over here. This has a front opening canopy where it hinges down, which is about the only way you could really do it. Now the old Titanium series one actually had a folding upper thing, which was never in the games, but would be another way to kind of do that. It's big. It's not too heavy because of how spidery it is. One other nice thing they did is these wings are all the same, like they key the same. So if one breaks or you have to or whatever, you can do that. But no, I really, really like it, and I'm happy that the TIE Defender is canon now. Even if they changed the design just a little bit, I don't blame them. It's okay to update designs. And it's distinctive. It's unique. It's very much in the TIE line, but doing its own thing. And it does look like a powerful craft. We all have favorites and stuff, so it's always neat when extended universe, which this always was, is brought into true full canon. Something that never happened back in the Lucas days. Not blaming them, just making a point that the newer canon isn't all bad. some cool stuff has happened. It's got a little engine compartment back here too. Whoop. Again, they're trying to add a little bit of feature value. But in this small of a hull, there's not a lot of room for things. But let me know if you like this design or the original Defender design more. Or maybe you just don't care. Not gonna rehash the whole First Order crap here and now. The thing is, they could have just made it the Imperial Remnant, which is how I think about it. And it would have been fine. Anyway. And if it was the Remnant, they would not have a whole lot of money, time, R&D ability to make new stuff. So retrofitting their ties, new solar collectors, bolting on a shield generator that it's external, bolting on heavier guns. This actually fits pretty well because it looks kind of bolted on. The only thing that's kind of funny is I didn't know these were white for a long time after the new stuff came out, so the idea of a white, I guess it's an easy way to tell them apart. Yeah, not a whole lot new here. Cool that they did it. They did it fine, absolutely fine. Just there's not a whole lot to say about the TIE FO. But the next one I was really looking forward to, and it's maybe my biggest disappointment. The TIE SF. Now, this is, again, very standard, but I like what they did here, making it a two-seater, adding the small turret, the back window, the larger things. There was the 1/12 scale, big old TIE Special Forces in the Black Series. Again, this makes sense from an in-universe point of view. Able to just slap things on the larger space frame. But what they did here, the way they did the two-seat canopy, I really do not like. The driver here and then the gunner there, and how they're not back to back as they should be, not even close. And because of the way they did it, it made him kind of bulge out the pressure hull, making it kind of egg-shaped, ovular-shaped. I understand the difficulties, especially because the legs don't have knee joints. So you're kind of limited there. You need enough space for the stick out. I get that. And I don't know the best way they could have done it. Because if they'd went the other direction and had them back to back, their feet would have been sticking out so far, it would have been elongated the other direction. It looked even more awkward. It's almost as if I kind of wish they had not done the second seat, or maybe gave you a special figure to stick in it. They didn't have legs. I know that sounds goofy, but Hobby Master's done that with some of the really tight canopies, like on their Mirage jet fighters. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but the way they did it, it's just, I find it pretty icky. It's not too bad, but even here, you see how just distended, swollen it is in this direction. I do like how they made the turret move and it kind of clicks. That's neat. I like how they got the pylons in and the extra power converters there. Of course, everything else about it's pretty standard. And I don't even blame them for having to open it up in the front that way, even though it's not how they open them. But no, I was really looking forward to the SF version here, and yeah, it let me down. I don't know. I feel like they could have figured out a better way to do it, but then I can't really give a great suggestion either. I'd almost just rather have it be a single-seater, but then how's it really different from what we just looked at, besides having a turret? I don't know. I really don't. It's a kind of a rock and a hard point thing. I mean, I don't hate it. I don't. I was just disappointed because I was really kind of excited for this to come out, because at least this was something new. Two-seaters are always kind of neat in my opinion. But what do you think? Maybe you like how they did it. Maybe you think it's horrible too. Maybe you have the right suggestion. I even thought about if they had the pilots kind of standing up because the legs do move. Maybe they could give them seats where they were at like 45-degree angles so they don't stick out as far. I don't know. Oh well, let's move on. The TIE VN, the TIE silencer. This seems to be one that a lot of folks were really looking forward to. I really wasn't. I don't really like this design very much. I don't hate it, but I don't like it. Also, every one of these, either in this series or the whatever I picked up because of how long it is, at least one of the cannons is warped. I don't know. It almost seems impossible to make this and not have a warped wing, be it the Hot Wheels or... Can't remember if the Black series, Titanium series was still out when these came or not. I don't know, just the canopy and everything seems a little weird. And maybe by this point, the whole sequel trilogy was tainting stuff for me, so I fully admit that. I don't think I even showed it, but you know, the way the canopy opens, it's fine. You get a Cairo, there we go, Cairo win. Ren's in there. He's fine, I suppose. I tend to like just pilots more than named characters most of the time. And I think he annoys me just because there was real potential there. The actor was good, and he did the best with what he had, but just like most of the sequels, just wasted potential. It really wasn't a casting problem. But here and again, they were just iterating on designs. You know, you can do it once, like with the TIE FO, but this is just a TIE Interceptor wings squatted down and stretched out, and then a TIE Advanced body, again with a bit of a nose added. It's like, come on, guys, can you do something a little original? By the second film, the first one you get a bit of a pass because you're getting back into the groove, but I will say, hot take, that I do think The Last Jedi was the best of the sequel films. But yeah, I was okay with this one coming out. I just really kind of picked it up because I found it on sale. It's fine. But it's not one I pick up a whole lot. But the TIE Whisper, one that a lot of folks don't seem to like online, I really like. I didn't know what this looked like because this was from Rise of Skywalker, and there's very little stuff out there. The Hot Wheels, I don't think ever did this. By this point, the Titanium Black series is definitely gone, so I didn't know what it really was. But yeah, I like this. I like how they use just it is the same bubble as on the TIE Special Forces. I presume only one person being in there is correct. I mean, that's what I mean. Even we're using the same size ball, there's really only room for one person in there. In the bottom, it's kind of funny, where you press in is the turret. It doesn't rotate, but it's also the button. And it does face rearward, which is correct. There would be no reason to need 2 more guns facing forward. You've already got plenty. But a rear-facing gun makes a ton of sense. And you still have a decent firing arc. Shield projector there. And see, a lot of the reviews said the wings are too thick. Maybe, but they're also less prone to warping when you make them thicker. And I like that trade-off. You may not. You may have a different take, and that's fine. But again, I'd rather have wings that stay straight and are a little chunky, because you really don't notice it until you're looking at it edge on. Like from the side or from the front, it's not really apparent. But I really like this design, even though, again, they're not... I think by the 3rd film, no one expected them. They weren't going to bust out with a ton of new designs. In fact, they got even lazier. Look at their, quote, Y-wings, B-wings, A-wings in it. yeah, it's actually quite hard to tell them apart from the originals. There is the TIE dagger that the Sith Eternal had. It's fine. It's just triangular shaped wings instead of whatever. Maybe they'll do this in the micro galaxy, but I don't know. I think everyone's just trying to put all that past us. I think even the filmmakers just like, okay, we've already committed ourselves to a third film. Let's just get it done. Get on with things, because by that point, things like The Mandalorian were doing well. Andor's done well. Heck, even the Bad Batch and stuff seems to be better. It's funny that the flagship product is the worst one. I'd take Solo, a Star Wars story, over it. No kidding. It's fine. It's not a great film, but it's fine. Anyway, like I said, I like this one. I really do. It is absurdly long, but I don't know. It's fine. A little bigger, of course. This definitely has more of like a command ship feel to it. I'll give that credit. It almost looks like a shuttle, like a TIE shuttle. It almost does. This one looks like the successor to the Interceptor, which it is. By the way, just because Kylo had one of these and it was modified, they did produce these for the regular fleet. So yeah, pleasantly surprised by this one. Not overjoyed, not like with the TIE Defender, but yeah, it's okay. Not bad at all. And my wings are pretty unwarped. I actually did this video once before, but never published it. I had some audio problems halfway through. It was with an old mic that was starting to cut out, and I could have re-recorded about a fourth of it, a third of it. But by that point, kind of lost interest, and also newer things were coming out. About the time I was getting ready to do a collection, they'd release a whole new batch of Micro Galaxy. And there is actually a TIE Avenger, the X7, on the horizons, but that's still a ways out. And that's a cool one. I will pick it up. I mostly pick up the TIEs and the wings. That's what really interests me. A lot of the, the kind of named ships, the individual ships, while I think they're cool, don't interest me near as much. But I didn't want to hold this off for one that's pretty well a secondary type ship, because we got all the highlights. We got the 4 originals. We got the Rogue One ships. The Outland is just cool. And then when the Defender came out, that's actually what made me decide to finally do this video, or these videos, is the Defender. I thought about doing it when the Whisper and the Silencer, ironically, for some reason, they were released basically at the same time, with the same Kylo figure. I'm sure it's just a scheduling thing. But not only did I get them in at the same time, they came in on the same wave, so at least you got them both. And I've had the other first orders for a good long while. I more or less pick these up when they come out, because they do sell on Amazon. They're not crazy. Typically, they're either $14, $15, or you get them for $20, $22, but then they come with a little blind box special, mystery box special, so it's kind of a small craft, like a speeder and another figure. And I did the calculations in one of my old videos about the cost of these versus the action fleet, and turns out they're actually cheaper when you adjust for inflation by a goodly amount. Let's be honest, $15 today. I mean, that's a good hamburger and fries with drink at a decent cafe or whatnot. You can't even get a steak for that now. So, foregoing a burger to get one of these every so often. And they come out with a new wave, a new series every, I'd say 2 to 4 months. Typically, you get a couple, 3, maybe 4 a year. We're up to Series 9, which is the TIE Defender that just came out. And Series 10's on the horizon, but we should get it before the end of the year. But it may be into 2026 before it comes out. And what have these been going on? Was it 2021 or 2022 when they first came out? So if we're up to Series 10, and each series has a few crafts, some repaints, some new sculpts. They've been really good so far about every series having multiple new sculpts and also multiple sizes. Like, you've got really tiny ones, and then you've got quite big ones like the Ghost or the AT-AT or the ATTE. And like the ARC 170, that's a pretty good size one. You know, the biggest tie, of course, is the Reaper, and it's kind of a mid-tier. I don't know why it's more expensive than a lot of them. Like, for some reason, even though it's the same kind of size as the ARC 170, the ARC 170 is $30, and it is $40. But I think it's a Target exclusive, maybe, so that might have something to do with it. Each of them comes with 3 figures, though. Don't know. I've had fun. My point is, they release them frequently enough to keep interest going, but also not so quick they overwhelm your wallet. And obviously I don't have a need to buy repaints. Sometimes I'll end up with one just because, like the Imperial V-Wing. I just happened to find it and thought, what the heck not. Nothing else, you get another clone pilot. But overall, I've had a lot of fun with these. I don't take it too serious. But I feel like we've got the whole TIE lineup. It'd be kind of maybe neat to get the TIE Brute from Solo, maybe. Maybe the TIE Dagger, just to say we've got it. A TIE Shuttle would be cool, but I doubt they'll ever do that just because it's such a fleeting ship. They could just give you another pair of wings for the TIE Bomber and stick them on, and then there you go. You got a shuttle close enough anyway. But, yeah, just sharing with you guys some fun. And just makes me kind of happy. So, hope you're having a good day as well. With that, this is Misha. Catch you very soon. Next time.